Now, it's time to introduce Laura Duffy. In June, as we said, she was sworn in as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of California. She graduated from the law school in 1993 and went straight to the Justice Department, first to headquarters in Washington, where she was in the Criminal Division's money laundering section. Then she went on to what you can buy with that dirty money, narcotics and dangerous drugs. In 1977, they sent her to the Southern District of California as Assistant U.S. Attorney and Deputy Chief of the General Crimes section there. She spent 11 years with narcotics enforcement, prosecuting large-scale drug trafficking organizations operating throughout the U.S. and internationally. Among her many successes were prosecutions of the Arellano Felix organization, a notorious cartel responsible for importing thousands of tons of cocaine and murdering hundreds of people. One of those drug traffickers gave her a nickname which we've gotten a lot of enjoyment around here, the Lady from the Sky. She climbed down a rope from a helicopter onto a ship at sea to interrogate a very surprised man. Laura Duffy won the Attorney General's Award for Distinguished Service in 2008 for her work on those cases. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in welcoming our 1993 grad, Laura Duffy.
Good evening, and thank you for that introduction, Dean Culhane, and for inviting me to speak tonight and to be a part of this special event. And before I begin my remarks, I want to take just a moment and speak to Dean Skolnick and tell you what a privilege it is to be here tonight with you and with so many of your very proud colleagues and friends and family, recognizing the amazing work and the contributions that you've made. I think truly it can be said that all you've done is really a great testament to your commitment, not only to this university and to your profession, but to the students and the community, and really to the cause of justice. I hope look back on tonight in the days and the years to come and remember this night and remember all the lives who you've impacted. I think you really exemplify all that is special about what Creighton has to offer so many students in this community. So thank you and congratulations to you tonight. Good evening to all of you. It's good to be here, and I know that there are a number of you who are here tonight celebrating throughout this whole weekend your class reunions. So I think you'll know what I mean when I say that it's good to be back here at Creighton. It's a nice feeling to visit here. I haven't been back myself since I graduated in 1993, and there's a lot that's changed. And the changes on the university campus, you know, the buildings and the structures, everything seems different. But what I found today was that the foundations and the constants are still there. As the dean said, one of the hallmarks of this university is the care and the attention that they give to every student, and that is certainly still true, and it's those roots that are nice to come back and visit. This afternoon, as the dean said, I had the opportunity to go and speak to a couple of the law school classes here, and I couldn't help but find myself transcend back about 18 years in time to when I was here in law school And even though a lot of things have changed on the university, that law school looks exactly the same. You guys got to push for some funding or something. But I found myself in their shoes, and I, like them, I was really excited to begin studying law, but I was also preoccupied with exams and grades and wondering how my own future was going to unfold. Well, I'm really pleased, and I know that I'm very lucky to be able to stand here tonight, free of that preoccupation and the worry of so many years ago, and tell you that I now realize I could not have made up the story of how my professional career has unfolded any better than the experience has actually been. Finding myself in the position that I now hold is something that I never could have predicted. But now, looking back in hindsight, I know that it was here at Creighton that the seeds of public service took root in me. And I have a lot of the faculty here and the people that were involved in my education here to thank for nurturing and growing that interest that I had. I wanted to begin tonight by kind of telling you a little bit about my path from the classrooms at this university to this stage tonight, because I really think that it's the mixture and the layering of those experiences that have formed me as a lawyer, most certainly, and as a person, and that have influenced to a great extent the way that I view leadership and the way that I view public service. And that's really what I want to ultimately speak with you about tonight. I know that there are some law students who begin law school with a very clear vision of the kind of law that they want to study and the kind of lawyer that they will be. But that wasn't my experience. I knew that I had an attachment to the law, but I really wasn't at all certain what I wanted to do once I got my degree. So I worked hard, and I got the kind of grades that I believed that I needed to provide me with options and opportunities, and I set out from here looking for where my passions intersected with law. The first job I ever had that had anything to do with law was after my first year in law school, and that job was important to me because I clerked at a law firm here in Omaha, which I don't even think exists anymore in that form, Kennedy Holland. And they were terrific people, and the work was fascinating. But what I realized in that experience is that sometimes it's just as important to find out what you don't want to do as it is to find out what you do want to do. And I say that with all the love in my heart to anybody here from Kennedy Holland that I knew back in those days. But what I found out was that I was really being drawn to an experience in law that gave me a more immediate and direct connection to everyday people. So I looked on, and I was very fortunate in my second year of law school to get a clerkship with the Douglas County Public Defender, Tom Riley. And for any of you who know Tom Riley, you'll know it's true when I say he's this gruff, kind of disheveled guy who gives every bit of himself to every case and every client he represents. But he does so in a disastrous mess of an office, stacked with files and papers everywhere, going every which direction. But he was a really brilliant and caring man. And I found in him exactly what I was looking for in the practice of law. He had the kind of passion and interest in his clients and in every case that he handled that I really admired. I admired his intellect, and I admired his ethics, and I admired how no matter what a person did, he knew that his job was to represent their constitutional interests in the best way that he could. And so after working for him, it became clear to me what I wanted to do. And even though my background and my passion and my interests didn't make me a good fit to go into criminal law defense, It was at that time that I knew that I wanted to bring to the other side of the table those skills and those qualities and that passion that I saw Tom Riley bringing to his side of the table. And I wanted to do everything that I could to become a federal prosecutor. So I started out with the help of alumni from one end of Washington, D.C. to the other, helping me secure a position in the honors program. And it was there in Washington, D.C. as a member of the honors program that I started my path to this place. I started learning about the role and the mission of the Justice Department. And as I was learning, one experience built on another, and I was gaining the kind of perspective and tools that I needed to take advantage of the opportunities that I was seeking and that I received. And as the dean said, I started in the money laundering section, and then I went to the narcotics section. And I was learning and investigating Colombian cartels and Mexican cartels and how they operated internationally and how they operated domestically and how they cleaned their money. And as I was doing this, I had the great opportunity as a member of the criminal division Justice Department section that litigates cases to travel all around the country and go to different U.S. attorneys' offices and help them try cases and help them start initiatives and help them with those types of prosecutions. And that opportunity afforded me to really learn the entire landscape of narcotics prosecutions across the country. And as I did so, and I got comfortable with it, and I got pretty good at it, and I had ideas about what we should be doing as a government to attack some of these things, I knew that the place that I wanted to go was the place where some of the most serious and important cartel prosecutions were being done, and that was in the Southern District of California. And that is how, in 1995, I ended up in San Diego. It was at that point in time that San Diego and the other districts along the southwest border really became the epicenters for narcotics trafficking coming into the United States. It was still the Colombian cartels that were involved, but because of the intense law enforcement pressure that had been placed on the Colombian cartels coming in from the southeast corner of our country, they began shifting their transportation routes to the southwest borders of our country and bringing the drugs in that way. And so when they did that, as the Medellin cartel was being targeted, and the Cali cartel was being targeted, and Pablo Escobar fell, those transporters in Mexico turned into drug cartels and drug suppliers and shippers in their own right. And so I knew, even though I went to San Diego for a temporary assignment and a temporary detail as a Justice Department attorney, that that's where I wanted to be, and that's the work that I wanted to do, and I haven't left since. And I've had some successes along the way, and I know in large part none of those successes would have been possible without some of the very dedicated colleagues that I've worked with. And unfortunately, I have to tell you, some of those colleagues didn't survive this fight. They dedicated themselves so fully that they were willing to die for this cause. And I've worked with a number of prosecutors and agents and judges south of our border who were very committed to this fight, who I owe a great deal of gratitude to. And it's in part in their name that I will continue that type of work in the Southern District of California. That really is the pathway that has brought me back to this very place on the globe from where I left with my law degree 18 years ago. And as proud as I am of where I've come from, I'm equally as proud and excited about where I've ended up right now and the challenges that face me. And I want to just spend a very few moments talking to you about the Southern District of California and giving you some kind of context for the work that we do there and that part of the country. Southern California is probably best known to all of you for its beautiful weather, its beautiful beaches, and its gorgeous mountains. It's got everything there. And it truly is a beautiful city, and it's a wonderful place to live. But it is also at the center of some of the most volatile and important issues that are facing our nation today and that are going to be facing our nation into this next century. The Southern District of California U.S. Attorney's Office is one of the largest offices in the country. There are 17 what they call mega offices, and San Diego U.S. Attorney's Office is one of them. We have 300 attorneys and support personnel, and we have 2 districts that we cover. Two counties, San Diego County and Imperial County. Overall, our district bears the 3rd highest criminal caseload in the country. And on an annual basis, we prosecute some 5,000 cases, which is more than any of the other U.S. Attorney's offices in the state of California combined, including the Los Angeles office. There's about 3.1 million people that live in the San Diego Imperial County areas. And if you were looking at a map, our district spans 141 miles of the U.S.-Mexican border. And we also cover 70 miles of the Pacific shoreline. And the Southern District contains 6 border ports of entry into our country from Mexico, including the busiest port of entry in the world, which is the San Ysidro port of entry, through which a staggering 50 million people and 17 million vehicles enter every single year. In addition to those border ports of entry and our international seaports and airports, we have border checkpoints on many of our thoroughfares and state highways that are actually corridors right from Mexico up to Northern California and across our nation for illegal drugs and alien trafficking. I want to talk to you about what's just south of our district. The city of Tijuana, Mexico, borders San Diego. And that city has a population of 1.12 million people. And Tijuana sits just 11 miles from where I go to work every day in the heart of downtown San Diego. So it's very close, and it's a very odd thing. Odd, I guess you would use the word. It's a frightening thing that 11 miles from a U.S. city, that the kind of violence that is occurring and that you probably see in your newspapers every day is that close to us. Mexicali sits on the immediate opposite side of the border of Imperial County. And Mexicali is the state capital of Baja California and has a population of about 700,000 people. And I'm talking to you about these population numbers because I want to put something into perspective for you. Even though the U.S.-Mexican border is a 2,000-mile border, and the Southern District of California only occupies 141 miles of that border, which is about 7% of that border, 60% of the population that resides along the southwest border either resides in the Southern District of California or adjacent to the Southern District of California in Mexico. And that makes the Southern District the most populated district along our southern border. And with that population come enforcement problems, national security problems, and other things that one must be mindful of being on an international border. Additionally, the other unique thing about the Southern District of California is that it has more military installations, Navy and Marine Corps installations, than any other location in the world. And so the presence of the population that's just drawn there by that military presence, some 500,000 people with an economic impact of $10 billion annually. The presence of those facilities creates a tremendous economic and national security interests that are at stake every day. And so I tell you a little bit about the Southern District of California so you have an understanding about what this district faces. And what's clear to me is that the Southern District of California is on the forefront of a lot of the issues that we face nationally. National security issues, immigration issues, and the illegal drug issues. And I was telling the law students that I spoke with today, I don't mean just on the forefront in that we literally sit on the border and we are the stance between another country and the United States, but we're on the forefront in the need for us to lead by way of example, that yes, we need to protect our country from terrorist threats and national security concerns, but we need to do so in a way that honors our Constitution and the principles of democracy on which our country stands. And that is one thing that I've become more and more mindful of in sitting in this position, that to be a free person in a free world is a blessing and a gift that many in this world have never experienced, and they may never know in their lifetime. And while freedom is not always easy and democracy can sometimes be difficult, President Kennedy was right when he said that law is one of the strongest links between man and freedom. And that is especially true in a country like the United States, where our systems of law and our systems of government link our fundamental freedoms so tightly to the enforcement of justice. I think what's important for us as members of the legal profession to always be aware of and to appreciate is that people outside the legal profession look to attorneys and look to judges as symbols of a commitment to justice and to rule of law. Law establishes the framework in which our society operates, and it's the context in which we live politically, economically, and socially. And because the work that attorneys and judges do has the ability to shape law, we therefore have the ability to fundamentally alter the way the world is. And with that is an immense responsibility, but also an immense opportunity to better society by striving for a fair and firm enforcement of justice and the rule of law. Former Attorney General Robert Kennedy captured the idea of the importance of the rule of law very simply and very beautifully when he said this: "We can't live together without rules that tell us what's right and what is wrong, what's permitted and what's prohibited. It's law that creates order out of chaos. It's law that's the glue that holds our democracy together." And throughout his adult life, Robert Kennedy challenged lawyers as members of the legal profession to serve their communities, not just as lawyers, but as citizens. And Robert Kennedy's use of the word citizen was meant to convey something much more than just a birthright, and much more than just the rights that are bestowed upon us by the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. He meant that word citizen to denote, as the Greeks did, a title of honor. And in emphasizing the responsibilities that are required with citizenship as something equal to, or if not even more important than the rights that citizenship confers, he observed that in a free world, responsibility is the obligation and it's the highest calling of citizenship, and that the service to the public is the greatest of freedom's privileges. In pressing his belief that lawyers have special duties, Kennedy urged us to see that our obligations as lawyers go far deeper than just specializing in a particular area of law. He urged us to see that we have a continuing responsibility to uphold the fundamental principles of justice from which the law can simply not depart. And it is with those ideals that I have tried to live my life and practice as a federal prosecutor. It's with the mindfulness of those truths that I take on readily the challenges and the opportunity to be a United States Attorney in this country and to serve this administration and to serve the Department of Justice and to serve Attorney General Eric Holder. And I have been encouraged to see, sitting in the front row, that this Attorney General and the department leadership have steadily focused on two goals over the last 2 years. One, reinvigorating the department's traditional and most fundamental missions. And two, reinventing the department for a new century that holds opportunities as well as threats. And in renewing commitments to old traditions, the department leadership has renewed a commitment to fight crime, but they've done so in a way that they've also renewed a commitment to safeguard civil rights. And that's important because the department and this administration and this world and the military's number one focus right now is protecting the safety and security of our nation and all the national security threats that we are forced to deal with. The Attorney General has also made new commitments to some of the oldest of the Justice Department's traditions, to make every decision based on facts, to make every decision based on the law, and to make every decision based on the best evidence available. And to do that, to invest ourselves in new scientific and analytical technology so that we can make better decisions as we move forward. And moreover, in those efforts and others, this Attorney General and this Department of Justice are committed to doing all that they do with transparency, with accountability. Transparency. I think it was with the understanding and the appreciation for where the Justice Department is moving and my desire to blend that vision and that goal with my own goals and my own priorities that one of the first things that I did with my management team when I came into office was to create a mission statement for the responsibility and the promise that we stand for. And now, before I get into this whole mission statement thing, I just want to share with you a little kind of side story about this. I'm going over my remarks with my partner, telling them, okay, now this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the mission statement. And I see this look like, why are you going to talk about the mission statement? And I say, well, I'm going to talk about the mission statement because, one, it's a good mission statement, and I like to talk about it. But two, more important than that, I'm a firm believer in giving voice to intention. Because once we voice intention, it requires that we take action. And every day, that mission statement is a reminder to me, and I would hope it's a reminder to my staff, that we must give attention to those intentions. And I want to share it with you tonight, because I want you to look and to see if maybe there's a place in your life, or there's a place in your practice, or there's a place in your firm or your office or your university or wherever you find yourself where you need to give voice to intention. This is our statement. The United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of California is committed to protecting the safety and the security of the community through the pursuit of justice, through the promotion of law, and through excellence in litigation. We are mindful of the public trust we hold, and we pledge to act with uncompromising integrity and fairness and professionalism in fulfillment of our duties. This mission statement is meant to reflect my view and the view of the attorneys in my office that we are more than just employees doing our job in exchange for a paycheck. It is intended to convey that we are committed to act as citizens, as Robert Kennedy called us to act. We are dedicated to meeting the responsibilities that come from being free people in a free nation. And I ask, and that I hope, each of you will similarly seek out and seize opportunities that you have for strengthening our justice system. All of you in this room represent some of the best educated, most highly skilled, creative people in this community and from across this country. And so we owe a higher responsibility to give the fruits of our education, our skills, and our creativity to the betterment of society. Each of us has that responsibility because it's inherent in the profession that we've chosen. For me, I believe that choosing a career in public service as a government attorney answers that higher calling. But public service has to be broadly defined. Public service is best when it comes in all shapes, in all sizes, from all different walks of life. I was reminded in a speech that a friend of mine and a fellow department colleague gave at a commencement address of what a great spectrum there is of public service and leadership. There are public servants and leaders who come like this big white wave crashing on the stage on the public stage, and they grab our attention and they have our enthusiasm. And that kind of leadership and that kind of public service is essential and it's welcomed. But there's also this quiet, unassuming, constant, steady ebb and flow of a tide kind of public service. And we've witnessed this in Dean Skolnick over the last 50 years. And through Dean Skolnick, we've witnessed that quiet, steady, constant kind of service is just as important and just as powerful and just as capable of changing lives and transforming society as a whole. Martin Luther King said it very well when he said, everybody has the power for greatness, not fame, but greatness, because greatness is determined by service. Let's follow Dean Skolnick's example, and let's strive for greatness through service. To the distinguished members of the Creighton Law faculty who are here tonight, continue to teach with the passion and knowledge that you're building the intellectual framework for the next generation. And for the members of our bar and the members of our bench who are here tonight, perform every duty that you undertake, committed to honoring the trust that you hold and to never abusing it. To all of those who are here tonight outside the profession of law, we know that small and large businesses are necessary to move this country forward, to grow and to strengthen us. But as you do that, know that there's always a place for there's always a place for social responsibility, and that your government counts on your innovation and on your support. To all of you who are parents who are here tonight, continue to foster in your families a desire to go beyond what society has come to expect, and to go and expect more of your children and more of yourselves and more of each other. And to any members of our military who are here tonight, thank you. You epitomize what public service is. You have sacrificed a lot to allow the principles of our democracy to flourish. We all have roles to play as citizens, but we as lawyers have a special role and special duties. Tonight, it's been an honor to share this evening with a fine example of somebody who answers the call of citizenship. And Dean Skolnick, you and all the other members of the Creighton faculty have really shaped and changed so many lives. And I personally will be forever grateful for the impact that this institution, through its people, have had on me. So thank you, and thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you, Laura. One example of why it's fun to get to talk to alumni. There are just so many great discoveries to make as I go around the country, and Bob Pratt, thanks for letting me know. Small token of our appreciation. There's actually a couple other things under the table. Not that kind of under the table.
Thank you.
But just things that would fit in a bag.
Thank you. I appreciate it.